A company first sergeant.
Company first sergeant, real good to go. He had, first time when he came there, he's like, hey, I don't know anything about infantry. He's like, but I'm going to take care of you guys. You know, that's my job, which is all. That's all you can ask for. I mean, and he did. He took care of every single one of us. He made sure we had everything we needed. He made sure our living conditions were perfect. I mean, real good guy. Always wanted to come out in town a little bit. Like, he'd always make sure, he's always busy. He'd handle all the paperwork so the rest of the company office could operate, you know. But when he got a chance, he'd come out on patrol once in a while just to get out. It was, you know, good to see him out there, real good guy.
Can you think of some examples of how he did a good job taking care of?
Oh yeah, like if you had any pay problems or anything like that, problems at home, he'd call the Marine in, ask him what the problem is, and then say, you don't worry about it, you go on with your whatever you got to do. He's like, I'll contact you and tell you how I solved your problem. Like, it was great. You'd walk in there, you'd be like, hey, you know, this is messed up. You know, you're all stressed about it. Like, don't worry about it. I'll let you know when I fix it. And then 2 days later, you'd be like, all right, it's good.
What about the company executive officer?
The XO was Lieutenant Condo at first. He came from Kilo Company as a platoon commander. They moved him over to XO, and that's after Captain Gannon passed away. So Lieutenant Condo, towards the end, I mean, he was real good at like just sizing up everything that's going on in the town, and like real creative at like, hey, we need to hit this, we need to try this because this is happening. Like, you'd come in after patrol and like he'd wake up to talk to you and like hear what's going on. Like, he wouldn't just go off the report. He wanted to hear from you, like what you saw out there. So I mean, real good at his job. I liked how he did that. Captain Neal, then Lieutenant Neal, as an XO, he was just like, called him like the mad scientist. He was like a genius at it. Like, he was just real good at that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Lieutenant Neal was with Lima during OIF-1.
OIF-1. Then he was.
He went to
he came to us towards the end as the XO, then with Captain Gannon. But Lieutenant Neal was also platoon commander when I was a PFC. When I first came to Lima Company, he was a platoon commander then, but he had moved before OIF-1. Yeah, I think he was second platoon commander then. I remember meeting him and everything.
What about Captain Gannon?
Captain Gannon, we had Major Schreffler as our CO through OIF-1 and all before that.
Right.
And he was just, I don't know how to describe, he was like a perfect CO. You couldn't ask for anything more. If you thought about CO ever, like, that'd be him, like, real good guy. And Captain Gannon said that when he came. He said, I got really huge shoes to fill. Like, I mean, but he's like, I'm going to do everything I can, and he did. I mean, being able to do what he did, like, coming back from OIF-1 and just 3 months, 4 months later, pumping right back out to OIF-2 with, on a whole different kind of, like, Richter scale there, like a whole different kind of fight. I mean, he handled that perfect, like, real good at adapting and everything. So,
what did all the Marines think about Captain Gannon?
When he first came, he was real quiet and everything. He was like a real. I've never once seen him yell or raise his voice or like lose his cool. Every time he talked to you, like, he could make you feel comfortable. You know, like, you could be sitting there and taking fire, and if he's sitting there talking, trying to explain something, you just were naturally calm. Like, the way he talked, he just had that charm with people. And the Marines started following that, you know. They started respecting that. They wanted to work for him. It was real good.
Can you give any examples of how he interacted with the Marines?
Yeah, when we took our first KIA, it was Wasser. He came...
On April 8th?
Yes, he came inside our actual living area and wanted to talk to the whole platoon about it, you know, and everyone was kind of down. They're like, we don't want to talk about it, you know. Everyone's like, we don't even want to think about it, you know. Our morale level was pretty low. He came in and sat everyone down, and just, I had to stop and started talking about like what it's like out here, what we're doing, like how much he appreciates, and like as I looked around, you could just tell everybody's like eyes were on him, like he just had everyone's attention. That's when he told us, like, same thing could happen to me. He's like, if I ever was KA, he's like, I want you guys to push on, like, go through the fight and everything. And I remember him thinking, like, he's a CO, you know, and nothing's gonna happen to him, and then it happened. So.
What about Captain Neal as CO?
Captain Neal, I remember hearing on the radio on the 17th saying, this is Lima 5, I am now Lima 6. Like, and I was like, all right, you know. It was like, it wasn't even, as soon as we confirmed what happened to Captain Gannon, I mean, it wasn't like a couple minutes later we heard that on the net, and he was already getting stuff done. I mean, hearing him on the net guiding his elements and everything was just real good. Like, he was prepared. I mean, it didn't shock him. He didn't have time to mourn. I almost feel sorry for him. Like, he did such a good job stepping up and everything that he probably didn't even have a second to sit down and actually be like, you know, what just happened? Like, this really sucks. So he did an awesome job.
What about your opinion of him during the rest of the deployment after April 17th?
Carried on right where Captain Gannon left off. Didn't miss a step. Not at all. If not, we were even going at it faster and harder. Because Captain Neal didn't like to sit around and wait. I mean, he was ready to just go get everything he could. I mean, he wasn't going to sit around and wait for them to attack us, you know. I like that. He just really pumped up the op tempo. So.
Did he have a pretty strong bond with all the Marines in the company?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Real strong bond. Probably the strongest bond I've ever seen with Captain have, or an officer for that much. Like.
How would you describe the